Oh, Andrelton Simmons.
He's a cubby.
So is Jesse
Did I?
Chavez.
Yes. Did I tell you guys a story about Andrelton Simmons?
No.
I don't,
You said he was
oh,
like the nicest guy ever when you were on
yeah,
second base or something.
incredible guy. So when we had our pregame meeting when we were playing against the Twins, our bench coach was like, "Hey, played against this guy forever. He will do like tricky shit. Like
Yes.
always keep your eye on him. He will backpick. He will do whatever you want. And he'll start talking to you so he can get your mind off of whatever you're doing." So we're playing them this year, and I'm pinch running in the 10th inning. The start of the inning, they're like, "Hey, Shorty, you're going to second." And I'm like, "Okay, great, whatever." I see in the corner of my eye Andrelton Simmons coming up to me. He's like, "Shorty, man, what's going on? Great to see you." I was like, "Oh, what's going on? How you doing?" I'm like, again, I'm a rookie. I'm like, "Not now." I'm looking at signs. Like, we got a big situation right now. Like, whatever. Pitch goes by. He's like, "Hey, like, you got a girlfriend or anything? Like, how are you doing? Like, how are the mentals? How's your family?" And I'm like, "Hey, you were exactly what you're trying to do right now. We've had this conversation about this before. Is
Did you
my
tell him that?
internet?"
It's
No.
not good.
Did you say that to him? Like, I know what you're trying to do.
Verbatim. And I was like, "Anderson, I know what you're trying to do, and that's fucked up." And he starts crying, laughing. And he's like, "No, man, I'm just trying. I always want to know about you, man. I want to know about your family. I want to know if you have a girlfriend or not, man. Just checking in." And I told our coaches that. And I was like, "Hey, by the way, he tried some bullshit on me yesterday, whatever." And George Lombard, our bench coach, thinks he's like, "I fucking told you guys." And like, anytime his name gets brought up, he's like, "Ask Jordy. You ask him. He will do it."
He was awesome. I met him today, and he's awesome. I obviously played against him, but like he's very just like social. Like he's a super nice dude. But when you play against him, he is always looking for that little advantage, and like he'll catch a ball, coming in from the outfield, just like an easy throw from the center fielder or right fielder or whatever, and he's looking to throw behind you at first, and he's got such a good arm that he will turn and put one in your back if you're not paying attention.
On purpose?
No, probably not on purpose, but I like, if you're just like walking back to the base, and he's like,
Zach, did Javi remember you? And don't lie.
I don't really know. He wasn't really talking. I think, I'm not gonna lie, I think he was a little bit.
To know.
No, because he gave me a hug. He's like, "Hey, great to see you." And I was like, "Yeah."
Did he say your name though?
well, but he's not a good name guy. He's not a good name guy.
He's like,
I remembered your face.
Yeah. But again, like even just in the locker room, I think he was not obviously not overwhelmed, but
I mean, probably there's so many new people, new faces,
and he's a quiet guy.
Right.
Anyway. Like
he doesn't.
he
He's
legit is like
actually
a
is
quiet guy.
Yes, he actually is quiet.
yeah, right. So I wasn't. I mean, took ground balls together. We weren't really saying too much, but I mean, he was fine. He was great.
Did you show him the hands don't sleep?
No, that is somebody.
You said, "Hey Javi, hey Javi, watch this."
Hey Javi, I'll go first. I'll go first here. You're new.
Hey Javi, were you number 2 on John Boy's top plays? No, I didn't think so.
Did you say hey, maybe you hop over to second and I'll stay over here and we'll turn a couple?
And we'll just see how it works. Like we'll see how it works out. Whatever happens, we'll see.
Skip, you want me here or Javi? Where should he go?
Should we touch on actually how the CBA stuff went, or like the new rules? There's new rules. We should talk about that.
Yeah, you know them all. I don't know anything.
Well, it was pretty interesting because we had like 3 deadlines in 2 days, and Tuesday was when it happened, Tom, or Wednesday? What was the day?
These
Thursday?
deadlines.
Thursday was the day that it actually was and then I went to the field Friday.
It was every day until there was a deal. There seemed to be a deadline, but yet somehow we're still playing 162, right?
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, they were going to get it in no matter what. But also, but Thursday. We were on the plane, whole company. Yeah, the whole John Boy company's on the plane flying to Arizona.
Private jet.
And jet called American Airlines. They put Tom in the luggage container. And oh my god.
Maybe that's why he wants Olsen in chat, because you say that.
And then we were kind of on the phone those 3 days nonstop, and then Thursday morning call, and then we were on the phone for like 3 hours in the afternoon. We were back and forth. Scotty Efros is the best.
Real quick, listen to this, Zach. Shocker. Happ said the first time he saw Scott today, he had to go up and apologize because he ghosted him on like 2 different texts. And he had to go up and be like, dude, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot to respond. I go, that sounds familiar.
I was so bad. But that was because I always have an excuse. That was because my phone really blew up on me after the – and then he sent me this really nice text about, like,
good work.
Working together.
Yeah.
And then I like really wanted to respond to that one, and I forgot to respond. And I got too far down my text thing. And then yesterday when we were coming here, he texted me literally right when I picked you up. And I was like, oh, shit, I have to respond to the last text. And then I have to text him that because he was texting me, like, when are you going into the field? And I was like, all right, I got to respond to this one. And then I saw him this morning, and I was like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry.
Could you imagine that, Zach? You send a nice text like, hey, man, like, I enjoy, like, glad we could get this done. Like, I hope I was able to help and all that. And, like, nothing. Ghosted.
I felt so bad about it, especially because, like, he was such such a huge help. And so we were on the phone, you know, with the internal Zoom with the player reps, and Scott and I are texting back and forth, basically just trying to get a feel for where the team is. You know, he's working on the group chat, I'm working on the group chat, and he's trying to kind of relay, like, this is where they're at. What do you guys think? Where are we? And he was awesome throughout the whole process. But we finally get the deal done. Everything goes crazy, and I can't believe that there hasn't been more trades in action yet.
It's kind of slow.
It's really slow.
Very surprising. Because the season's in 3 weeks.
I thought, and I think we all thought, that there was going to be like a flurry of trades right when it broke. And then we were all like, well, maybe they don't want to look like they were tampering or had it all set up, so it'll be 24 hours until they trade everybody. And now it's just like, what are they doing? What are you doing?
Now they're waiting. They're outthinking us. They're like, oh, they thought 24 hours to prove we're not tampering. We're going 72 hours.
And I thought
to really prove it.
I thought Sunday night would be like when a bunch of shit happens. This episode will probably come out Tuesday, like all of our other episodes. I am predicting before Tuesday, I'm predicting tonight there's a flurry, and then tomorrow there's a flurry.
Is it possible they're waiting for Correa?
I think that's as always with these markets, the top guys are holding up everybody else. So Correa has to fall and Friedman has to fall. And when those guys go, everybody goes. But I think those chips fall tonight and tomorrow gets crazy.
Yeah,
that's my prediction.
I was trying to see if there was any like big news.
I thought today was gonna be nuts.
I mean, at some point teams have to get these guys in and like have live VPs, get guys ready. But there's also some new rules. The shift is going away. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like next year, but the shift's going away. DH is
good for you.
Yeah, it's good for all people that hit left-handed. It's actually good for guys that hit righty too. Like Chris Bryant's a good example.
Zach, for example.
Zach, do you get shifted?
He did in the minors.
Yes.
Like Chris Bryant would get shifted 3 guys on the left side, and like, you know, Chris Bryant's swing doesn't produce ground balls to the right side. Just doesn't.
I hit the ball the same place every time, and we can't put guys there anymore.
You could put one guy right there. If you hit the ball the same place, you could put one guy right there.
Taking away the shift is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, please tell me why.
It makes no sense to me. If you hit the ball there every time, why can I not put a guy there? I don't understand it. I should be able to put my position players wherever I want them.
You're putting random guys in the
outfield? Who cares?
Outfield?
Hit it to left. There's nobody over there.
Well, that's easy.
And I get it's easy to say. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, you could easily just slap it down the left field line. No, it's very hard. But
you have the same
if you hit
it
here
zone,
every time, do it.
You have the same strike zone to hit every time. It's like we're just going to carve out a part of the strike zone. Like this part, I just want to be a ball now. Okay. Like you can't, the outer third, ball.
No, it's different.
That wasn't a good example.
I was like, that's so different.
That was a bad example.
If you hit the ball statistically all the time into the 4-hole, I'm putting someone in the 4-hole.
But you could put one guy there. Like, still, you could put one guy there. It's the fact that you were putting
what's this rule?
4 guys on one side.
So is it?
We don't know yet.
You can only have 2 on each side second? Okay. I was like, if it's like feet on the dirt, that's more realistic. But if you're saying like the shortstop can only play on the left side of second base, like that's ridiculous.
We don't know exactly what it's going to look like, and part of the deal was that there would be a joint committee to discuss before MLB tries to implement it. So there's a committee. We have not agreed to the rule yet,
okay.
But MLB has said that they are going to implement this rule.
And that's for next year?
for next year.
I
For
mean,
2023.
Because it blows my mind that that's going to be a rule.
What are the other new rules? Well, there's DH in the NL. That's exciting.
Well, that makes sense.
That's exciting for everybody. What are the other new rules? Zach?
Playoffs? They're 12?
12 teams in the playoffs
Is that this year?
this year.
Bigger bases?
Next year.
Next year. What's the point of that?
You played with bigger bases.
That's what I'm saying. What's the point of it?
well,
Didn't do anything.
they're supposed to be
Is it for steals or
They're
for
supposed
health?
to be. Well, I think more for steals, but they say for health. I think there's supposed to be less chance of people running into each other at second or at first. It gives the infielders more room at second, and then I think the main goal is that you're a couple inches closer trying to steal bases because they want to promote stealing bases because the fans pulling the fans have said that it's an exciting thing.
Statistically, it must have shown that in AAA for that first half of the year, the numbers were up, but I didn't notice it. It wasn't like guys were running wild.
Yeah, we didn't really hear any data on that, but they are that's another thing. None of these rules for next year that they said we've agreed to, we actually haven't agreed to ban the shift. We've agreed to give them a shorter window to implement it, and they've agreed to actually have a committee that we can talk about the rules and see if they make sense.
I think the best part of the bigger bases, though, is the first baseman not getting his ankle stepped on.
Yeah, not getting his ankle stepped on, or
anymore.
You would hope that balls from the catcher, if there's a bunt, there's enough space that guys aren't getting drilled in the back.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm all right with that. Just the shift one.
Did we say pitch clock?
And that's the other one.
The pitch clock is not going to go over well.
They really want to implement the pitch
That will not go over well. I mean, tell
I think that is so fucking stupid. Shortening a game by 5 minutes is not going to help anything.
And that's what I've always said. If you don't like baseball, you don't like baseball. 5 less minutes isn't going to make people like baseball.
I think they really want to get the games under 3 hours. I think the 3-hour TV window, and they really want it under 3.
Impossible.
Tell you Darvish he has to throw within 20 seconds. See how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
I love you. I was a teammate of you. I really like you a lot. Big fan of you, Darvish. I think somebody maybe should tell him to throw a little quicker.
He said what, Zach?
He said he loves you.
Grow up.
But I do I think that guys that take Darvish takes a long time to throw the baseball.
I mean,
I'm not saying that I love the pitch clock.
I do agree. Some people take too long, and it's okay, you don't need that much time. But the pitch clock, I saw the times on it. It was 19 or something. It
was very fast,
ridiculously quick.
What
it'll never happen.
What has it been in AAA?
25 or 20. It's been 20.
20
is easy though.
It doesn't come into the game at in AAA, right?
No, because if you come set, the clock goes off.
And that's the rules they need. They need where if you come set and you step off, they need outs for it. Definitely to start. If there's a 14-second pitch clock and guys are getting balls or
14 is so fast.
That, it's crazy.
That's way too fast.
If it's, I think we can all, or not all, but most of us could agree that if there's a 20-second pitch clock and you have the option to step off the rubber to reset it.
I could count on one hand the amount of times I saw the pitch clock be broken and be called.
Yeah.
Because 20 seconds is, you don't need more than 20 seconds.
Yeah.
You even got time to walk around the mound real quick if you need to.
Yeah, and it should be that kind of pitch clock. You could say the fans would start to get upset. If a guy was getting on the bump and then stepping off to reset it, fans would. Same thing. Guy picks over 5 times.
I was going to say, or worst case, you could just fake do a half-ass pick over and you reset the clock.
Exactly.
I think 14 is just way too fast. That's you're consciously okay, I gotta go, I gotta get on the road, I gotta throw.
But you know what 14 is? 14 is somebody in an office going, I think if we take
6 seconds
6 seconds off and 10, if you multiply that by the pitches, I think we'll get 10 minutes off every game. You can't, if there's players that are involved in that, players are going to be this is ridiculous. This is the most I've ever heard.
Because it's not and there's certain guys, like you said, but it's not you're sitting in the box oh, let's go, dude, throw the ball. It's not very often.
There's not that many human rain delays. I think if you have a normal...
Are you calling you Darvish a human rain delay? Oh, my God.
No, I didn't say that. Darvish. I like Darvish a lot. We played together. I would consider myself friends with you. I don't know if he would consider me his friend.
Not after this.
Not after what you just said.
Yeah. But he does take a long time to throw baseballs. But he's really good at throwing baseballs. So what are you going to say? Oh, don't do. I mean, like as his teammate, like what are you going to be like? Speed it up? No, like, you're unbelievable. You're going to win the Cy Young. Keep doing what you're doing.
Dakota, does it ever come into your mind when you were pitching AAA?
He works fast.
No, I work really fast. I've always I just get the ball back and I get right on the road. But there's certain guys that I think have had to change their approach that take a long time. But for me, I've always worked pretty quick.
There's a big part of the game too, over the last 5 years, that is there's so much more mental skills and breathing and some guys get on the bump. Some hitters do it too, where they're step out and every pitch is and a big routine. I think everybody can have their routine, but you have to be able to do your routine in 5 seconds.
But I was gonna say that's the other thing. It goes for the hitters too, because they'd call strikes on hitters. If they take for everything in the box, all right, strike one.
Right now there is a clock
between innings, isn't there?
There's a clock between innings, but there's also you're only supposed to have 20 seconds to get in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Now if a dude's doing a crazy routine or running around or doing a shuffle, when Sandoval used to shuffle out and those stuff. If you're doing a bunch of stuff, you should have to be in the box in 20 seconds.
I agree.
Unless there's obvious and if you don't want to leave things to umpire judgment, but if the catcher's taking this stuff off or doing something, or you're in between innings, got to go to the bathroom. There's obviously times when it's not gonna, But
I know Zach's opinion on this. I want your opinion, Ian. What do you got on Robo-umps? Because AAA West is doing it the first half of the year, apparently. Or AAA East? West.
I don't think
not the iCubs. The other half is doing it.
It's
West.
It's crazy.
West.
It's crazy that it's crazy that AAA. It's crazy that AAA has two sides and divisions now, and it's completely different.
The iCubs open up in Buffalo, New York. That's a good call.
I heard that.
It's warm there.
Yeah, I feel the iCubs are going to really be grinding.
In Buffalo?
Buffalo. They said, you know what? And listen to this. A month later, we go to Jacksonville. It's no, let's save Jacksonville for the middle of summer, but let's go Buffalo early. It's a good call.
What was the question?
The flight from Arizona to Buffalo will be a fun one. Also, that screen being frozen is hilarious with that face. That is incredible. What do you got on Robo-umps?
Oh, I don't think Robo-umps are there yet.
But
I think that it's good that they're testing them. I just don't think they're there yet.
I think pitchers get way more calls in and out than a Robo-ump would, but I think the strike zone is way higher than most hitters realize.
I think if they do Robo-umps like tennis, where you get 3 challenges per game, and then
it's just the ding in the ear, isn't it? It's like TrackMan. If it hits the strike zone,
yes,
it dings.
but they've talked about it in multiple ways. They've talked about it as the umpire calls balls and strikes, and you get 3 challenges over the game. Where if you're like the situation where I got tossed in 19, I'm 3-2, bases loaded. I know it's a ball. That's an RBI and a walk for me. I should be able to say, no. I should be able to go look at that. If you're really that convicted, because that's what you want. You want the calls that are egregious.
Yeah.
And if you have a teammate who's challenge that and it's right down the middle, you're okay, you never get to do that again. But if there's a situation like that in a game and you get 3 of those in a game and it's hey, that's going to change the game and it's a ball and I want to challenge it, I think that's interesting. I'm
so in on you take out the human element in that, and I don't like that. I'm okay. Umpires make bad calls both ways for hitters and pitchers. I'm all right with that.
More for pitchers, Zach. More for pitchers.
I'm saying if you go complete Robo-ump strike zone, the curveballs people throw, they're going to bounce in the dirt and it's going to be called a strike.
Yeah,
it's going to cross as a strike.
I think there's some issues there.
It's not. It's going to be a Tommy Nance curveball. It's a strike and it's bouncing.
Yeah, I would like to see kind of how the system deals with that and how that, because you're right, that would be, and some of the balls that nip the top of the zone are probably whoa.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's the other thing. Hitters don't realize how high the zone is.
Yeah.
And I know Zach is pro Robo-ump though.
Zach's half frozen the whole time, but Tom has something to say. Tom wants to talk us about the CBA. That wants us to talk about the CBA because I think last week I might have said that
You said there was a 10% chance of a deal getting done that night.
Oh, which was Monday night.
Monday?
Yeah. It wasn't very optimistic.
But you didn't sound optimistic.
I was not optimistic. Because, and one of the reasons was the numbers weren't there. The numbers weren't there. I think players were, and players continued to be through the entire thing, like really convicted to like, if this doesn't make sense, we're not signing a deal.
Yeah.
And I think over those last 48 hours, 72 hours, like the numbers got a lot more realistic, a lot more in line with, you're never going to get everything you want in a deal. And that was part of it.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely didn't get everything we wanted, but the numbers got to a point where I think players said, hey, these are good gains for the group.
I think it finally turned into a real bargain. Like,
yeah,
you each gave each other stuff instead of just give us this and that's it.
Yeah, and the thing that blew it up Monday was the international draft, and it was, hey, here's 24 hours to figure out the international draft, and it's like, well, we have to talk to all of our Latin players and figure out from every single country that the international draft comes from. Majority is Venezuela and the Dominican, but then you have all of these other situations and countries, and you have to consider all of that. So it's like we need time.
Wasn't Japan its own thing? Like that was separate from the international draft? It wasn't like Shohei Ohtani would have went in the draft. It was still players being posted.
It was separate completely. Well, it's interesting because like Shohei came over early. So Shohei came over and was on league minimum and then went through the arbitration system because he didn't play enough years in.
Is he still on league minimum?
No, he signed a 2-year deal in ARB.
Oh, he did.
So, like, he went through the normal system because he didn't play enough years in Japan to be posted, right?
Yeah, I think.
But I think he would enter the international draft.
I'm not 100% sure.
I should know this, but I don't.
I
That's
was
the thing.
say,
It's
what are you
so
asking us for?
complicated.
Who's our player rep?
So this was the issue.
I want Scott on the phone. He'll know.
This was the issue. Was the rules on the draft are so complex and complicated that when they give us 24 hours to figure it out, and I text or call Wilson and go like, "Hey man, international draft, what do you got?" It's like,
What are you talking about?
It's like, what's it look like? And I'm like, okay, this is gonna take an hour. Like, I'll tell you about it. It's like it's so complex. So being able to actually work together and like tying that to something else, so I think that's kind of what started, because then it turned into a bargaining when it was like, here's 3 options the international draft. What do you want to do? It's like none of those all
instead of like, here's this, take it, or
Yeah.
you have 24 hours to take the deal or don't take it.
Yeah.
And we'll miss games.
Yeah, it turned into more of a collaboration where it was like, all right, can we work on this international draft together and we'll tie it to something and then we can work on the other stuff? And I think that's what actually started to move it forward.
Can I ask, so like as a player rep, how do you determine how you're voting? Like how much of it is what you think and how much of it is like, I know you're talking guys, but like.
Yeah, obviously as a little bit as a player rep, you give your opinion to the group. Like that's your responsibility as the guy that's in the meeting to give your opinion to the group, but you're representing your team, and so whichever way the team is leading or voting is how you have to vote as the rep. So you have to put, you kind of make your own pitch and say like, hey guys, been in the meetings this long, been in this every single day. Like, here's what I think. But if the group is completely and totally the other way, but our guys.
What if you're just sitting there just waiting for text response? You're like, all right, guys, like
Yeah,
somebody give me something. You're like, I got to vote.
We did a really good job of communicating early and being on the same page and being like, if it looks like this, how about, what are you guys thinking as the process goes? We had different guys reach out throughout the process, but, our group was pretty much on the same page the whole way, which was really nice because I know that's not always the same for everybody, but our group did a really good job of communicating through the whole thing.
Can I ask so were free agents, was that like a former team? So like a guy like Alderton Simmons, was he with like a twin? Like would he talk to the Twins?
Yeah.
That's
I think
Zach, your player rep, wasn't it Boyd, who's not with or someone who's not with the Tigers anymore?
He was. I don't even know if you could say gracious enough, but like he was filling us in the whole time, and he was great. He kind of what Happ said. We weren't as talkative and consistent, I guess, as you guys were with the Cubs. We would just have it like toward the last day when it was getting really close. Everybody was kind of talking, like everybody had questions, but during the whole thing, I don't think many people were as involved, I guess you could say. But I know he did ask all of the Latin guys, like, hey, what were their thoughts on the international draft? Like, hey, we need to hear from you. We need, like, he was like, Candy, Miggy, like, guys, we need your input on this. And I think he ended up doing a private thing with them because there was nothing else. I don't think they blew him off. But it's true. It's just a completely different world. It's like that literally changes not only baseball, but it changes lives over there.
Yeah, and it's part of their
Whatever way it was going, whether you're going to have it or you weren't going to have it.
yeah, it's part of the economic structure of those countries. So you have to consider
Like Manny Rodriguez is like he's like a god in his country
Yeah.
or in his city back in Mexico. He's like from like way down by like Panama. And he's like the first person to ever come out of there to go to the big leagues. And he's like,
throwing 100.
he's got like a key to the city. Like they had him throw out like first pitches. It's crazy.
And that's it's like a big part of the economics of the Dominican and Venezuela and
Mexico.
It impacts a ton of people. There's MLB has and teams have different facilities down there to train guys. Like there's an infrastructure, and you have to figure out how this impacts it. And like you can't do it in 24 hours. So I'm glad they came to an actual